Today, AI is changing how fast organizations can move, but speed alone doesn't create value.
What matters is how clearly teams can define the problem, align around outcomes, and make the right decisions before they accelerate.
I'm Clay Richardson, founder and CEO of Digital Fast Forward.
And I'm Steph Lewis, Senior Director of Pega Community and Developer Engagement.
Each episode, we sit down with leaders and practitioners to explore what it really takes to design for value.
And find out how organizations are turning AI-driven speed into meaningful, measurable outcomes.
Welcome to Design to Accelerate.
Conversations on creating value in the age of AI.
Let's go. Welcome to Season 2 of Design to Accelerate. I'm your host, Clay Richardson, and I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Steph Lewis.
Yep, Steph Lewis still here for Season 2, heading up developer and community engagement at Pega. Clay, why are we calling this a Season 2?
So it's interesting, as we started putting this together, we wanted to make sure that we focus on specific themes that are driving the shift around AI-driven design. And so instead of just saying, hey, episode 1, episode 2, we really wanted to make sure it's structured in a way that people can listen, learn, a little bit like a masterclass, even though it's conversations, but it gives a way for people to be a part of the conversation on the journey. And so Season 2, this is where we are. And so if we look back, we just finished Season 1, and maybe you can give our audience a recap of what was the conversation in Season 1.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the other thing to add to that before I talk about my takeaways from Season 1 is to break it up in consumable chunks based on where you are in your journey, right? And so I think that's hopefully you can kind of resonate that each episode will have its own title, but the seasons have a purpose, right? So I think Season 1 was just level setting on this change that's in front of all of us. So we're not yet in the weeds of like how you as an individual need to do, but it's level setting of like, what does this thing called solution design, first of all, how do you define it? And what does that mean in the age of AI? Yes, using the Pega tools, but in general, we're talking to a lot of experts. And to be honest, we're also kind of taking a throwback into this. Some aspects aren't new. So how do we kind of honor that? How do you build on that? And then what's the foundation of the definition to move forward into the next stage of how you as an individual can then start to use it, which we go into in Season 2. So that's my takeaway. Yeah. What's yours?
Well, it's interesting because I think as we start doing these seasons, it's important that we share that we are anchoring on solution design.
Yes.
Right. Because it's easy to look at it and say, okay, they're talking about what and talking to who, but all roads really lead back to this conversation around solution design, the solution designer. And so when we go forward and actually looking back, stay with Season 1, one of my biggest takeaways, I was a little bit surprised in Season 1. It's weird when you go back and listen to the episodes and really dial in. I'm not a fan of seeing myself on video, so it's kind of like I don't really want to watch. But when I sat down and watched all of the episodes, one of the things that stuck out with me was, wow, how much time, how quickly we went from design thinking to now we're talking about AI-driven design. And I don't think I ever connected those dots until I actually watched the episode we did with Alan, where I was thinking, we used to do design thinking. That was a big thing. I no longer do design thinking, right? Not that we don't leverage some of the capabilities, but we don't do the design thinking workshops, the stickies. That seems so long ago, right? But now there's so much that we're focused on, still some of those skills, facilitation, all of that. But that was my real takeaway from Season 1 is this kind of shift that's happened that a lot of us aren't even aware of.
Right. And I think but we are going to go into Season 2. Yeah. I think taking that concept, let's use design thinking as a specific example, where we're talking to people that are helping lead the effort of that shift. it's not just a term, right? Like we are so obsessed with terms in the past of like citizen developer, design thinking, and now it's like AI solution design. But what we're going to get into is like, what does that actually mean? And to your point, there's a lot of the foundational concepts and skills that are still important, but there's still a big change that we need to do to embrace technology that's moving faster than ever before in the AI. I think that's what we're going to do in season 2, is to actually talk to the people that are embracing that, using those core concepts and taking the foundation that we built in season 1 and season 2 to talking about the people that are actually utilizing that in the wild. From clients to Pega to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting because as we started sketching out season 2, we really started talking about the journey.
Yes.
Right. And I think season 1 and season 2 connect in this way. Like, first, there's a conversation around the journey that people have taken just to go from design thinking to now AI-driven design. What is it? How do we think about it? Now in season 2, it's about the journey of solution design itself. Like, what are the stages, the steps,
the practicality
of it, right?
Yeah.
How do we think about this? Where does it start? You know, you and the two of us, we did a working session to really sketch out, like, when we talk about solution design, where does it really start? Where does it really end, right?
And it's the entire thread, which is different, right? It used to be handoff. So we're going to have conversations all the way from the build versus buy decision, all the way through delivery, talking to the business owners, the decision makers, through the business owners, the product owners, to the coders, to the architects. And like, you can now start to see through season 2, this is a thread. Yeah. Everyone has a part to play.
It's really interesting. Obviously, we're both solution designers. And I think about season 1 was like the prototype.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Like, we prototype, talk to a lot of Pega folks, really trying to just get our heads around what could this be? Not just the podcast, but really the space that
ideation.
We're focused on. Exactly.
Yeah.
Ideation. What could it be? Season 2 is actually about the MVP, right? Where we're bringing, actual practitioners on to talk in detail about what are they experiencing in the wild. Like, there's one thing when we talk about theory, but there's another thing when people are in the wild actually using this. So we're bringing on practitioners who are Pega practice leaders or just solution designers and architects to talk about the real world of what they're experiencing, what their challenges are, where they're having frustration, where they're having success, right?
Yep.
And so I think that's going to be an important conversation through the journey.
Agreed. Yep. I think that's well said. And I don't think there's anything else that we can say before let's just do it, because to your point, this season is going to be for you. If you want to take the theory and start to apply it, this is for you. So let's do it.
Let's go.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to Design to Accelerate.
This is a space for thoughtful conversations about how people, not just technology, create value.
When we let human judgment lead and AI accelerate, better outcomes always follow.
Follow and subscribe to keep engaging in this meaningful conversation.